In a world that moves fast, Selah Moments is your invitation to rest in God's presence and ground yourself again.
Creating a space in the middle of real life where women can slow down together, breathe, and remember we're not walking this journey alone.
Each episode brings honest, spirit-led conversations that encourage reflection, rest, and spiritual clarity. Welcome to Selah Moments with Sam and Jess.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Selah Moments with Sam and Smiley. If you didn't get that, that means you did not watch the past episode. Go back and listen to it and then come back.
That is hilarious. Smiley is crazy. No one has called me that in over 20-something years. But yes, sure.
I love it for you. I'm going to change your name
Thank
on my
you,
phone and
friend.
everything.
Yes, I can see you doing that.
How are you doing, Jess? This is exciting. I don't even know what episode number we're on.
We should know.
This is amazing. We should know. This is bad.
I
10?
think
9?
I think this might be episode 9 or 10.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Somewhere
How are
around
you
there.
feeling?
I'm good. I'm excited. God has been good. God's been faithful. Yeah, I'm good. How about yourself?
I am doing good. I'm very excited to jump into our episode today. Today, we are going to be talking about holy audacity.
Period.
Period. I mean, and if you listen to the previous episode, and no, I wasn't joking, please go and listen to all of the episodes before this. Please go and listen.
Yes.
But we were talking about being confident. Even I shared how my mom modeled out what being a woman of God, confidently, boldly pursuing her giftings, the talents that God has given her, and me being able to see that walked and modeled out. So we're going to kind of dive into that a bit today in conversation. So Jess, I have a question for you.
Please ask away.
Let's compare women to men in terms of your upbringing.
Ooh,
Who would you say kind of takes the trophy in who has been more bold in the faith, comparing women to men in your upbringing, what you've been exposed to growing up?
Oh, that's so good. And a part that we want to add to this is that we want you, after this episode, we want you to stop shrinking. Yeah, that's the goal, okay? Or to begin to think about how you've been shrinking. That's a good question. So I think it's two parts, because I think it's how we define boldness. Because growing up, men were more forefront in terms of ministry, so more forefront, the preachers and things like that. Now that I'm thinking about it, like growing up in an apostolic church, I'm trying to think if where I grew up, if I saw women preachers. I think, yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think I saw many. Like, you would exhort and you would be a missionary, but you didn't really see women preachers. So yeah, no. Now I'm thinking about it. It was all male preachers that I saw. The men were very forward. However, when the woman prayed,
you better talk about it.
No man could have outprayed the woman that I grew up around and seeing. So I think it was like men were maybe more forefront, but women, a lot of the women that I knew were like the pillars and the ones that were praying and really charging heaven on the back end.
I love that. And you know, for those who don't know, Jess and I grew up in 2 different denominations.
Very different.
I grew up in Pentecostal denomination. I'm a COG baby. So I actually don't ever remembering a time where women were not included in, like, I've seen women preachers from as far back as I can remember. My mom was a woman preacher, right? And she preached daily in our church, and we had women guests come in. And I guess what I'm trying to get to is like, with you speaking about shrinking, as well as I wanted to kind of point out and illustrate how you were able to model something right now that you didn't necessarily see be walked out
That's
before you.
correct. That's correct.
Right? So
Yeah.
go ahead, love.
No. I was just gonna affirm and confirm what you're saying, that like it's not until you ask me that question and I'm like, yeah, no, I really have not seen that. Like, really just be bold. I mean, when I moved to Toronto and came to my home, my church there, then yes, I saw it. But like growing up, it's not something that I saw. So it was really this modeling, as you said, of something that I really didn't see in my formative years.
Mm-hmm. And I do, and you speak about what happened when a woman prayed. And I do believe, yes, there is a space for the men. I definitely do believe that. And there is a space for women as well.
Period.
That I kind of feel like in some regions, some spaces, that seat is vacant. It's not to say it's girl.
Oh, Shandala Messiah. Vacant is like a prophetic call out.
Ma'am?
That's I felt that thing in my belly, but keep going, prophetess.
And it's not to say that the Lord has been short with handing out giftings. That is not where the issue is. The gifting lies in people. Holy audacity. The Lord is calling us from a place where the enemy would have us to be small, where he's calling us to grow, expand. And even I hear in my spirit to even like, the song, Enlarge My Territory. Like the Lord is like, come on, it's time to kind of bust out of the small box or the small state that the enemy has convinced you that is where you should be.
The heavy on the convince. So really and truly, if you haven't listened to the last episode, you need to go back and listen to it, where we talked about that negative self-talk. Because what the enemy will do now is streamline into that, I'm not good enough, I don't belong here, all of these things. And when he does that, then you shrink, essentially. And you don't stand. Because I tell you, Samantha, if I listened to the voice of the enemy, I would not have done half of the things that I've done and accomplished. I wouldn't have. I wouldn't have. I would have listened to that. But as you said in that last episode, my sheep know my voice. And so I've had to tune my heart to the frequency of heaven to hear the heart of the Father and the voice of the Father, to know, this is not the voice of my Father, but this is a voice that I do not know. And a stranger I will not follow. Yeah.
I love that. And it says in his word many times, be strong and courageous. What does it mean to be courageous? Like, I remember back when, it feels like yesterday, but now we're talking about years, but when I was still lived in Toronto. But I remember Pastor Pierre was at KCLC, and they used to put on these youth events all the time. And Pastor Pierre, I remember he was preaching and he said something that I will never forget. He said, feel the fear and do it anyways.
And do it anyways. Period.
And do it anyways. And I remember even Matthew McIntosh created a song, I Will Not Be Afraid, off of that. And I was just like, yes. It's not to say, and Jess, I'm so grateful that you opened up and you were vulnerable to say that you experienced the feeling of needing to shrink down or not to grow or not to do the thing in the midst of doing stuff that I have seen with Matu Idem and many other women have seen and are a living testimony. Like they're in a good place based off of the fruit that came from the things that the enemy was trying to stop you from doing.
Period.
And I think that's a beautiful example of what it looks like when we are obedient to the voice of the Lord, when we take on that holy audacity to be like, whether it's the enemy trying to talk you out of it, whether it's yourself trying to talk you out of it.
Whether it's a friend.
Whether you gotta cut those friends off. Nah, I don't know. I don't got that number. This commercial break, you need to do some inventory with your friends. Is some of your friends be trying to talk you out of what God has called you to do? Because trust and believe, if Sister Jessica, and I'm going to call you Sister Jessica in this regard, if Sister Jessica came to me and said, Sam, I ain't doing A, B, C, D, E, F, G no more. And I don't believe, mind you, seasons come, seasons change. But if I didn't hear from God with that, and I said, sister, that ain't it. What's going on? Let's talk about it. Let's go get some ice cream, but we gonna figure it out.
Because you're doing it.
Because you're doing it. Do I need to hold your hand while we're doing it? Because we'll do it together.
Ooh,
but it's important, and this even brings me to sometimes we are associated with people who are stopping us from taking on that holy audacity to do what God has planted within us. We need to be associated and aligned with people who see where we are going and not just stuck on where we are currently at.
That's correct.
Speak to my future. You know how much time Jess sent me these voice notes?
Because we're going to prophesy to your future. We're going to launch you into what we see and not where we are at right now. And I think too that holy audacity comes with the people who are around you, as you said, and who will hold your hand and who will journey with you, because you don't always feel audacious. You don't always feel courageous. Because I'll give you guys an example. Bloom last year, baby. The way the darts were firing, I feel like the enemy was like this. Like he's just
on the camera.
He was just poking. So much so, Samantha wasn't there because it was a Saturday morning, but so much so that even at Bloom, I had a panic attack. And I was like, bro, like, can I live? Like, can I be? But even in the midst of that, I went, I had my panic attack. I said, call reinforcement.
That's it.
And I came back and I led the woman of God. And it's not from an unhealthy place. And I want us to be aware of that. This is not from an unhealthy place, but this is from a place that was happening in my body, in my nervous system at that time. And what I could have done is shrink to be like, you know what, guys, I'm going to take a step back and you guys just go ahead and pursue and continue. I breathed through that thing and I came back and led the woman of God through their exhale thereafter.
That's so good. And I thank you for sharing that. I definitely do remember that. And I actually want to take a moment to applaud you.
Oh, thank you, Sam.
Because you could have, it ain't my business to share. And trust me, I'm a Volt. I'm tough friend. I'm a Volt. If you ain't sharing it, I don't know what you're talking about. But that weekend was really rough for you.
Bro.
And you led that thing like a G. Okay.
Oh, Lord.
But
thank you, Lord. God be praised.
You did your good stuff. And that brings me to even, we're speaking to women. We have women listeners. Men out there, you listening, sure, come on, grab a chair. But like, even with women, like we go through so many different transitions in life, Jess.
So good.
We transition from being just a single person to someone who's now a wife. And then we transition to being a mom. We have life transitions. We have job transitions. Some of us transition even from different styles of church, right? Like we both have transitioned from different styles of church, like, right? So I would say even, how do we navigate those seasons that don't look the same like they did before and still have that holy audacity to continue to steward the seeds and the giftings that God has given to us?
That's good. That's good. Oh, you want me to answer that?
Go ahead, girl.
I think it goes back to that identity piece of really knowing who we are and whose we are. And because a context has shifted doesn't mean that your identity has shifted and who God has called you to be has shifted. So I remember I'm a Pentecostal girl. I grew up Pentecostal, apostolic Pentecostal. Okay. So we are loud. We are vibrant. Okay.
Yes.
So my first time last year, and Samantha, I keep saying Samantha, you were there because she has been there. I was preaching at a church that was softer or more quiet. And I would say predominantly, it's white evangelical, for lack of a better word, right? And I remember I was like, oh my God, I don't even know, what am I going to sound like? Because sound is important, right?
Yes.
What you sound like is a texture of who you are and who the Lord has called you to be. So I am very passionate in my delivery of the word and all that kind of stuff. I remember saying to Samantha and my other friend Nikita, I was like, I don't even know what I'm gonna sound like. And you know what I did, y'all? I was like, they know who they were calling. They know who they were calling. And I'm sure they looked me up prior to. And so I told the ladies, I said, listen, I'm a little spicy. And they loved the spice. And I was myself in that context. I didn't hold back. I didn't shrink. I was fully who I was and who the Lord has called me to be. And it was through that, because I didn't shrink, that the Lord was able to bless those women.
Listen, everybody needs a little cayenne pepper, a little paprika, a little Scotch bonnet pepper in their lives. Come on, we all need it sometimes. You brought the right spice. And that's the thing, sometimes we talk ourselves out of doing certain things because of fear of how people are going to receive us.
That's right. That's correct.
The Bible talks about very clearly, you cannot have two masters.
That's right. That's correct.
And that kind of leads to purpose. Motive. Why are we doing what we are doing?
Yeah.
If you were doing it for the sake of those women, and you can't be nobody else.
That's right. I can't. Because you imagine I went up there like, okay, God, like it would have been a mess. Because that's not who I am.
It definitely would have been a mess.
But how about for yourself, Sam? Like, Sam is a corporate girly, and a manager. And like, Sam does a lot of things in the corporate world in her job. She's a big deal, period. So it's one thing now to have this audacity, this holy audacity, and we may need to come back and define that word for some people, but this holy audacity in church, because that's what we're known for. But Samantha, I know you told me stories. How do you have that same audacity in corporate? Like, what is that? What is that? What does that look like? Tell me.
Oh gosh. And yes, I do work in corporate. I actually work for a tech company, and to be honest, like, we already know women in tech already is like kind of like an anomaly. Can I speak?
That
anomaly.
Word. Yes.
And then of course throwing on a Black woman in tech, it honestly hasn't been easy. I'm not going to lie to you. It definitely had me. Remember, we were talking about the imposter syndrome last episode. Definitely many of my days included me with this battling with this imposter syndrome. Having to remind myself and sometimes having to remind people of my worth.
Because what we're not going to do is let you feel like you could talk to me any kind of way. Period.
And
anyways,
no, it's a real thing. Because being a Black woman, being a woman, even from the BIPOC community, it is exhausting. Point blank, period, whatever you're dealing with, and having to deal with that at work.
Yeah.
that added on an extra layer of exhaustion where certain things would be happening where to other people, everything is fine. What do you mean there's a problem with someone saying that they're impressed with how you showed up in this meeting?
Can you imagine? Because you had other expectations of me? Ma'am, well, how would you feel if I said, well, I'm impressed with how you showed up?
Ma'am, and that's why this holy audacity, of course, and of course, yes, there are times where I've had to do that, but I've had to learn how to do it in a respectful manner, right? Because I ain't trying to be out here without a job. I need some people, some of y'all don't need it, and that's okay, baby. But over here,
we need a job.
We needs our jobs, okay? Thank you. Hallelujah. All right. So I had to learn to, and also it even had me to deepen my education, Jess, and my awareness with certain things.
Yeah, that's good.
Right? Because sometimes, and I even oddly, like me talking about it, I feel like I'm like coming to realize a lot of stuff. I feel as though I've been having to learn a lot of things. I felt like I was an infant with certain things, like being a Black girl, you learn how to show up, and it sounds so bad. I had to learn how to show up in certain spaces. I wasn't able to pinpoint why I felt weird when somebody wanted to touch my hair or the texture of my hair, like, and I couldn't name it. I couldn't place it. And now I'm having to learn and place that. And I feel as though that audacity to show up as myself was something that I had to and still am having to learn how to do. But I'm not going to allow my environment, my workplace, the church I go to, the friends that I have to stop me from being authentically me.
That's so good. Yeah. To cause you to shrink.
That's it. Because, you know, some of us do have like, I'm trying to be very careful with my words. Timid is not the word that I want to use, but maybe a more conservative type of personality. And that's okay because if that's you, that's fine. Or more reserved. Exactly. If that's you, that's completely okay. And that's completely fine. But there are some people who are shrinking themselves lower than who they are naturally.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good.
Saying to bust out of that bubble.
Yeah.
Right? Go ahead, Jess. I know you wanted to say something.
I think what I wanted to say is that, like, I think women who may be a little bit more introverted or a little bit more, you know, I think what we have to do is really think about what parts of our personality is just who God created us to be and what parts were socialized. Okay? Because for myself, I remember when I was, when I found out I was pregnant, I was like, yeah, I want a boy because having a girl ain't it. Like, I was just like, I'm gonna have to do too much protecting right now. It was just, and so I remember at my gender reveal. Well, I swore it was a boy until like 2 days or 3 days before my gender reveal, and I had a dream of a little baby girl, and I was like, all right, Lord. So the gender reveal comes, and the girl, and I was like, like, I was like excited.
That was exactly your expression.
And shocked at the same time. But Sam, the next day, I literally had a moment because I was just like, God, like why? Like, all of these things. And I remember the Lord said to me that JL is gonna be a version of you, the healed version of you. And I was like, wow. And I look at JL's personality now. And what's funny is when I was growing up, so there's people who know me as a child up to a certain extent, and they're like, JL and you are very similar. But then after a time, and if you go back to my last episode where I talked about some of my childhood experiences, that shifted. So it's like I had this boldness, like just like JL. Hi, how are you? Just like very friendly, very open. And then something shifted. And then it was kind of this war of who I am at nature and who I was socialized to be and what my childhood experiences produced. And so it's important to really sit with yourself and to really understand what was socialization and what is nature versus nurture.
Nurture. Yep.
Like, what part of you is this a trauma response? Is this a response of what you've modeled, what you've seen modeled? Or is this
That's so good.
truly who God has created you to be? And even, and on the other side of it, I want women to know who are more reserved and more, I guess, on the back end. That doesn't mean that you cannot be bold. Bold isn't
That's
loud.
it. Exactly.
Bold isn't just about being loud. Bold is about taking authority. You can be a
That's
quiet
it.
storm in the
That is
Lord,
it.
right?
That is
What's coming up for you, Pastor Sam?
quiet storm.
That's right.
Because, you
Yeah.
know, me and you, we different in some ways, but we are like in a lot of ways. And in terms of boldness, we both bold, especially when it
Period.
comes down to things of the spirit. We say
Yeah.
it with our chest.
Yeah.
But there are some who are not necessarily the ones to be like, let me go grab the mic, and if I get the mic and the Lord is telling me to say something, I can go and boldly say it or pray for it or whatever it is. But I love how that quiet storm, just because you may
Woo,
not have a
hallelujah.
personality that you condition to be bold, there are other like levels to being bold. Like, boldness
Correct.
can be applied to all different types of personality. It
That's
looks
right.
different, but just because you may not be as loud as, I'll use myself, as Sam, it does not mean that you do not have the capacity to be bold within
right.
the way that the Lord has made you to be. And I
That's
love
right.
how you tied it to authority.
Yeah. It's
My
about
good
authority.
God.
Yeah. Yeah.
We all have been given this authority.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. Like,
That
boldness and courageous is not a personality type. It is your
is it.
God-given identity. It is who. Go back to Genesis 1. He says
That's
that
it.
let us make man in our
In
own
our
image.
image.
And we are giving them dominion over the birds of the air, over the fish of the sea, every creep and crawling thing. And being made in the image of God means that you are made to be a representative of him. You are
That's
made
it.
to, you resemble him in the
That
earth.
is it.
His creativity, his moral reasoning, his intellect, that's what it means to be created in the image of God. His
That's it.
imago Dei. Like,
That's it.
that's what it means. That's what it means to be chosen.
Yep. Affirm the woman. Some of y'all need to clip that part, save it as a voice note, and replay it. That they needed that, Jess.
Period. It's for people to
Period.
know, like, who you are, the fabric of who you are, and the fact that God came and he knit you together in your mother's womb. You're not a mistake. You were created with intention.
That's it. And that's one of the enemy's like ultimate goals, is to have us to believe, or to mess with our identity, to have us to believe that we are someone that we are not.
That's right. That's correct.
Our identity is rooted in Christ.
Correct. That is correct.
We are created in the image of God. Who thinks that they can come and tell you otherwise or convince you?
Yeah. 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 And you said something in the last, I almost said last session, because I'm such a therapist.
These be sessions, girl, though. They feel like sessions.
Facts. You said this in the last episode around like, who told you that? And when you go back to Genesis 1, 2, 3, you see the Lord created us. Then you see in Genesis 3, you see the fall of man. But then you see when Adam and Eve, when God was looking for them in the garden, and they were like, oh God, we can't come before you because we're naked. God says, who told you that?
Who told you that?
And this is now, you see, it's an imprint of sin.
Yes.
And so sin comes to separate us from the Lord. Sin comes that we don't have life and have it more abundantly. Sin comes that we don't live out our identity. But here's the thing. That's not how the story ends.
That's it.
He came and he reconciled us unto himself, brought us back into right standing with him. We now are adopted and engrafted into the family of God. And now we are son and daughter, chosen royal priesthood. That is the gospel of Jesus Christ. So this aspect of being chosen is not a cute thing. It's not cutesy. And it's not something just on a shirt. It is your identity.
Correct. That is it.
Sam,
That
I feel like you've been
so good.
The whole
You know when you get some food and that food be hitting? This good to me. This thing so just this episode, listeners, ladies, women, young girls, young adults,
don't
even
shrink.
more of our seasoned folks, don't shrink. And even as we begin to wrap up, the Lord illustrated to me, or brought back to me, I had preached a sermon and I was talking about Mary and Martha. And even in terms of like natural instincts and the things that Martha was doing, one would consider her to be bold, right? She was taking care of all of the things, but Mary sat at the feet of Jesus. And if we are actually analyze that, Mary was the bold one.
Come on. She really was.
She was the bold one. Right?
Yeah.
It's this manner of releasing what we think and what we know and to actually sit. We are chosen to sit at the feet of Jesus. We have a place at his feet and to receive what we need to so that we can continue to go out and do what he called us to do.
So good.
Jess, how can we lead this woman? Come on. You've been dropping all these gems. I've been saying this whole thing. This episode was good to me. So even if you need to repeat something or you have something new, what do we need to leave these women with?
Don't shrink. Courage is not the absence of fear. I feel like I needed to be reminded of that today myself. And Bloom Edmonton is coming up March 20th and the 21st. And we're talking about all of these things. And we're going to have a live podcast recording with Pastor Samantha and myself.
So excited for that.
Me too. So we're going to have a good time in the Lord. Yeah. And even that in itself is holy audacity, because I don't really know anybody in Edmonton outside of my church, but the Lord has given us a vision for Edmonton to speak over the woman. And so here we are doing what the Lord has called us to do. How about yourself, Sammy?
I just need to add on to that. So even if you're not in Edmonton, you could be in Sherwood Park, you could be in Calgary, you could be in Red Deer.
Yes.
Pack up your friends and come on over. You need some links for Airbnbs? I got you. Come in my DM. I'll let you know. But you need to come. You need to be in the room.
Yes.
It's going to be a time, and this is not one of those ones where you can look on Instagram and be like, I'm getting, no. You need to be in the room, and we do not need you to regret not being in the room. So buy your tickets.
Yes.
Bring your extra cash money because there's going to be things to buy there as well.
Why did that song come to my head? Cash money. From Cash Money Records. Cash money.
For those of you who don't know the song Pastor Jess is talking about, you don't need to know about it, baby.
You don't.
You don't need to know about it. But bring your money. But yes, we're so grateful that you were here. And honestly, truly, as much as I was, joking about it, truly that whole spiel of from Pastor Jess with affirming you. You are chosen. You may feel the fear, do it anyways.
That's
And
right.
even if you're curious about what does that look like, how do I start? How do I make steps? Throw the questions in the comments. We can answer them. We know that there's a lot of other women, talented, educated, gifted women of God who are following as well. They'll be able to jump in and answer. But we want to make sure that you have the tools, you're equipped to take on this holy audacity. So
Ooh,
we
so
thank you
good.
all for listening. We thank you all for joining wherever you're listening to, whether on podcasts or on YouTube. Please like, share, comment, share with a friend, and also subscribe so that
Please.
once we drop these episodes, you get those notifications to know that we have dropped something. So we're so grateful that you joined. Remember, feel the fear and do it anyways.
Love you guys.
Have an
Take care.
amazing day. Bye.
Bye.